Inside my private community, the POD Connection, every single month we have coaching calls. And I recently learned that I can take the files from those coaching calls, plug it into ChatGPT, and ChatGPT can dissect that call. What that brings us to in this video, I decided to do that for every single coaching call that has happened in my community and basically just dissect what are the common sticking points, the common questions, just the things that serious print-on-demand sellers are getting stuck on and need to know in order to grow their business. So in this video, I want to break down all of my findings or ChatGPT's findings. All of this to say, if you've been trying multiple different things, you're feeling stuck, you're spinning your wheels, and you're not quite sure what to do next, then this video is for you. Struggle number one, constantly starting over instead of testing. Most sellers aren't struggling because they're doing everything wrong. Most sellers are struggling because they're trying to do everything at once. One of the common sticking points with the members in my community is kind of the question of when do I pivot? When do I basically just chalk this up to this is a bad niche, this is a bad product? When do I move on? And sometimes there is a point when that makes sense. However, I find that many sellers aren't actually getting to that point. They are wanting to pivot and completely switch their product type, switch their niches that they're targeting just far too early. Inside my community and also here on my YouTube channel, there is a strategy that I talk about quite often, and it is what I like to call the rule of 5 ones. This strategy is the blueprint to getting your first 100 sales on Etsy. It is not flashy at all. It's very concise, and to be honest, it's probably kind of boring, but boring breeds results. Not novelty, not the next new shiny little thing. And so if you are trying to build momentum and you are finding yourself in this place wondering whether or not you should pivot, I encourage you to not pivot at your first dip that you reach. It's important to focus long enough to actually get feedback. There is a lot of experimentation when it comes to creating a successful print-on-demand listing. And to be very honest with you, it's a little bit cocky to think that you're gonna just get it right out of the gate. I wish that was the case. That would be amazing, but that just realistically is not common. Every single listing that I have ever created, I always give 8 months to figure out if it's going to work for me or not. And why I choose 8 months is because that is 2 Etsy life cycles. When you first list your product, you get 4 months on Etsy. I keep all of my listings on manual renewal. And if that listing has not sold in that first 4 months, then it is going to expire. As the listing expires, this is where I'm making any necessary adjustments. For one, when I look at my listings that I create 4 months ago to when they expire, I am looking at them with such a new, fresh lens. A lot of the time, I genuinely am wondering what the fudge was I thinking when I am looking at those listings. And then there are other times where I look at those listings and I feel a lot more confident in where I kind of went wrong, what I could adjust to give that listing a refresh and relist it and see what happens. If at the end of that next 4 months, it still expires and it is back in the expired listing graveyard, that is when I personally decide to call it a quits and just say, nope, that listing wasn't good. So yes, 8 months, not 8 days, which I see comments sometimes saying,
my shop has been open for 8 days and I haven't sold anything. What is wrong?
It just has only been 8 days, my friend. You gotta give it time. Struggle number 2, guessing your SEO instead of building a strategy. I know that a lot of individuals are researching keywords for hours. I know this because members of my community have shared with me that they have been researching for hours and they are still struggling and not really sure what should they be including in their title, what should they include in their tags. On the contrary, sometimes also the opposite is happening where sellers just aren't doing enough research at all, and this is typically what leads to more descriptive titles. Descriptive titles consist of keywords and phrases that really just describe visually what a customer is looking at, which sometimes these can be good keywords, but most of the time they don't actually reflect what a customer is typing in the search bar, which is what we want in our title and our tags. I have my very own system that I've developed for how I create my SEO. It's what I share in my community, and I'm actually going to be doing a updated SEO video on my channel. So that video is coming. But until then, let me just give you a couple little things to focus on that I think will help you out. How I create my SEO for every single listing is through a theory that I've created called the bucket theory. And this theory consists of 3 brackets or buckets of keywords that you want to include in every single listing. Bucket 1 is for visibility, bucket 2 is for reach, and bucket 3 is what ultimately gets your listing to become a bestseller. 3 questions that you can ask yourself to start brainstorming for these types of keywords are: 1, what is the product? 2, who is this product for? And 3, what occasion or use is this product tied to? These 3 questions are going to guide you towards the type of keywords that are going to fit into your visibility, reach, and best-selling bucket. And I also want to just put the gentle reminder that all of this is a lot of experimentation. So it is okay if your SEO isn't quote unquote perfect. For one, I don't really think it ever can be absolutely perfect, but you can still come up with a really great title and tags for your listing. Let that listing run through its first life cycle on Etsy. And if at the end of that first life cycle, after 4 months have gone by, that listing has expired and it has not sold, if you look and see how many views that listing got in those 4 months and it got nothing at all, that is your indicator to go back to your SEO and rework your SEO for that second life cycle and that second phase that you're going to test that listing on Etsy. Struggle number 3 is overthinking every design and never publishing. Design paralysis is a very real thing. Sitting around and constantly just making little adjustments and staring at your design is unfortunately not going to earn you any sales because it's not on Etsy and you don't have the opportunity to make sales from it. The truth is, your best design cannot become a bestseller if it is sitting in your drafts. And your best-selling design is probably not going to be the one that you think it's going to be, which is why you need to just post what you are making. Here's what I want you to do. We're breaking out a timer. Use your phone. If you have a little clock timer, use that. Give yourself a deadline, 20 minutes, 30 minutes at most. Don't do more than 30 minutes. That's like the critical point of when you're going to start overthinking. 20 minutes, I think, is ideal. In your 20 minutes, create your design. At the end of the 20 minutes, just post your dang design. And then tomorrow, do it again. I say this with so much love and empathy because I truly used to waste so much time hyper fixating on the smallest little details that genuinely I know that nobody was paying attention to. I was overthinking the slightest differences in fonts. I was overthinking the slightest difference in colors. And it was always the designs that I spent less than 5 minutes, really didn't think highly of, but decided to just post anyway, that I swear have always and continue to always be my best-selling listings, which is almost like a slap in the face sometimes because the designs that I've spent so much time, too much time working on, never see the light of day. And it's like the creative gods coming down and just humbling you. I also have to share because I literally just got this message on Instagram earlier today, and this individual, they were about to tweak something, overthink something, adjust something, and they got a sale. So it's not even just me, it's others as well. So just post your dang designs. Struggle number 4, obsessing over stats instead of focusing on what matters. This is something that I talk a lot about in my community, the return on investment of your time. This also could be referred to as the opportunity cost. Checking your Etsy stats 10 times a day might feel productive, but it's not moving the needle. Staring at numbers doesn't make them change. Time spent refreshing could be used to create a new design, gather new insights, do some product research. Refreshing the stats is just one example of a low ROI type activity. There's tons more. I'll list a few here, but I honestly want you to ask yourself, what is the opportunity cost of this task? What am I missing out on by hyper fixating on these types of tasks and activities that have a low return on investment? And what could I be doing differently that's actually going to push me in the right direction? Something that actually came up on the last coaching call in my community, we were talking about just some final takeaways at the end of the call, and I was asked for some aspirational, inspirational feedback at the end. And the quote that came to me and that I have been repeating ever since, and I think that we all could benefit from, is that your ego is not your amigo. Growth is going to come from consistent action, not constant validation. Struggle number 5, making sales from ads with no profit. I am somebody who utilizes Etsy ads. I love Etsy ads. They are a very powerful tool when used correctly. So naturally in my community, a lot of the individuals are receiving coaching and we're talking about Etsy ads. They are using ads in their shops, and something that I find is kind of coming back to the your ego is not your amigo. And it is that sellers are excited when they are making sales from ads. But when you take a deeper look into the analytics of their shop, yes, they're making sales, but they're spending so much money on their ads that they're not profiting at all. In fact, they're paying money to have a print on demand business. If you are spending $10 to make $10, that is not growth. That is just a dashboard that looks pretty, looks like it's thriving, but it's really just a vanity metric. I actually don't even recommend sellers using ads until they're at least in the scale phase. Etsy ads can be a very powerful tool, but they require a lot of strategy and also emotional regulation. If they are going to be something that creates this emotional roller coaster high and low of making sales, not making money, then they're really not something that a seller is going to actually benefit from using. Struggle 6, not knowing how or when to start marketing your shop. Marketing can mean quite a few things. One being ads, running Etsy ads for an example. Running ads in general is kind of just one branch of marketing, but then there's also other components like social media marketing or even email marketing. I get a lot of questions on email marketing, and I have a couple videos that I've put out recently about email marketing that I'll be sure to link in the description box below. I'm also currently working on an email marketing module in my community, so that'll be a little bit more in depth. Email marketing is truly one of the best ways to grow and really diversify yourself if you are looking to establish a strong brand. And even more so if you see a future for yourself not selling on Etsy, having your own website. Now, when should you even consider marketing? Like I mentioned with Etsy ads, I really think that marketing, Etsy ad marketing, or any other marketing is often going to be best once you are in the scale phase, which really isn't that far down the line, but it's just going to make sure that you don't have too much on your plate and you're ready and able to actually pursue a strategy with marketing so that you are setting yourself up for success with it. But a very common question that I get asked is, can you even have an email list or do email marketing as an Etsy seller? And the short answer is yes. The long answer is yes, but you want to make sure that you are doing it properly, legally, ethically. What's important to know is that Etsy doesn't just give you your customers' emails, and you can't just take your customers' emails and then start emailing them. That is illegal. Do not do that. But what you can do is invite your customers or potential customers to your email list through what is called a landing page. For email marketing, this year I've been really enjoying a platform called Omnisend. It is made for e-commerce, and I have found it to be incredibly beginner friendly, but also as I've been becoming a little bit more advanced in my email marketing skills, there are features and tools that I have been able to have kind of grow with me in order to really grow my businesses. Omnisend lets you build a simple landing page where people can sign up. Once someone opts in on your landing page, they are now going to be added to your email list and start receiving emails, typically starting with a welcome email. In this video, I actually talk about how to get somebody to opt in to your landing page because, to be honest, you can't just put the link for your landing page and then expect people to click it with no incentive. Once you do have new and even existing customers opting in, joining your email list, you are able to start really building that relationship and building your brand, not just on Etsy. Something that I think all Etsy sellers should be aware of, and this is not some type of like fear mongering or anything that I think you should be scared of, but when you have an Etsy shop, that is at the discretion of Etsy. And when you have an email list, that is something that you own. So if for whatever reason Etsy doesn't exist tomorrow, your email list will be something that you still legally own and can use. I do have a link for Omnisend. If it's something that you wanted to try, I will have it in the description box below. With my link, you also can get 30% off, so be sure to check it out. If this video helped bring you some clarity, let me know in the comments down below. I'd love to hear where you're at or what you're currently working through. Any resources, tools, videos, anything that I mentioned throughout this video or that I think think would be helpful for you will be linked in the description box below. And as always, I hope that you're having a wonderful morning, afternoon, evening, wherever you are in the world, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.